Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of the Language Lounge. So, I have a bit of a confession to make this time. I had a really, really rough week with my language learning. And Anna could tell you this because I was actually texting her about this just a night or two ago or something like that. I've talked before on my channel about language burnout, but one of the things that I haven't talked about is something that hit me this week where I wasn't burnt out because I still wanted to study and I still was studying. I was still immersing. I watched a bunch of hikakin. I watched hikakin games. I didn't watch any of Masuo games, but I did find his other channel, which was Masuo TV. So I watched some of Masuo TV, which is actually really entertaining because he's actually really goofy, and I almost like watching his regular stuff better than his Masuo TV, better than his Masuo Games channel at this point. But I had gotten to the point just a couple nights ago where I texted Anna and I said I was almost at a breaking point. I think Aiden had fallen asleep, and I texted her and I said, okay, good, now I can have a breakdown now and not affect him. And so she was like, well, what's wrong? And I was like, I feel like with my Japanese learning, I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And to be completely honest, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. It really feels like I'm making zero progress. I can't really formulate sentences. I can formulate some very basic sentences, but it takes a long time. I can tell you what some words are. If you were to show me a bunch of words, I could probably tell you what some of them are. But I just felt like I wasn't making any sort of progress, and it was really, it hurt. It was really hard because I've been doing this. I think this is week 19 now, so I've been doing this for 4 months. And I still feel like I'm not making any progress. And it was really starting to affect me. It was really starting to upset me. And so what I ended up doing with Anna's advice, because she said, what she said was, I think you know more than you think you know. I think the problem is that you're trying too hard and you're expecting too much out of it. And which she was right. I was and still kind of am. I've gotten a little better in the last couple of days, but I still kind of am expecting too much out of it. Because I always have to remind myself, Japanese is on the list of the four hardest languages to learn from an English-speaking starting point. When English is your first language, Japanese and I think Mandarin Chinese, and then Korean, I believe, which are two of the other languages I want to learn, are the most difficult languages to learn from an English speaker's perspective. And I think Arabic is on that list too. And so it's going to take a lot longer to learn the language. And I think a big part of that is the writing system, but there's other things that go along with it too. And so I had then texted her back and I was like, well, really all that most of what I know is, I know all the hiragana and I can read slowly, but I can read in hiragana. And I know all of the katakana. They're a little more difficult because they're not as commonly used, but I do know all of the katakana and I can generally make out the word given enough time. And so I know both of those writing systems, and then I know some vocabulary. And I know kind of the basic layout of the sentences, and I know different forms, some different forms of verbs and stuff. And so I was like, really and she said, so just try to focus on the next step. And I was like, well, or she asked what the next step would be. And so my response was, well, the next logical step most likely would be kanji. Because I'm starting to learn kanji in Japanese from Zero Book 3. And so what she suggested and what I've been doing since then is she said, well, why don't you just focus on the kanji and then kind of take it from there. And which then made a lot of sense, because one of the problems that I'm having, I'm trying to use links still, But one of the problems that I have is that Link doesn't use furigana or anything. It just uses the kanji. And if I can't read it and I'm having to click on every single kanji and there's not really a good way for me, because of the way that I learn, there's not really a good way for me to actually learn what that kanji actually looks like so that I can recognize it as soon as I see it again. And so what I ended up doing was, because I will say I did learn one new word. I don't remember the kanji for it, but I did learn a new word, which was gakushu, which is like to learn, because the Link lesson was talking about learning a language. But like, I don't remember the kanji for it. And I don't remember the kanji for gakusei, because it was one of the other kanji in that lesson that I did. And just, I don't know what those look like. Like, I cannot pull them up in my head. And so what I decided to do, and I don't know how long I'll do this, how long I'll wait before I start getting back to some of the other stuff, but what I decided to do for now is to focus on learning kanji, on learning a bunch of kanji, and focusing and not focusing so much on trying to be able to speak the language. Speaking the language will come, especially once I get to the point, because once I get to the point that I am able to read a lot of kanji, or at least a lot more kanji than I do now, which is like 20, then it will be easier for me to do things like, reading, well, that one's in hiragana anyway, but like reading the book that I have from the library that I still have because of the library had being closed, but I'd be able to read something more along those lines, maybe not quite to that level, but more kind of a young adult or middle grade type of thing, and be able to read that and be able to pick up some more vocabulary from it, be able to pick up some of the nuances in the language through reading, as well as still listening. And so I decided that that's what I was going to do. So I kind of wanted to show a little bit, let me grab my pencil here. I kind of wanted to show a little bit of what I learned. So I know the kanji for the numbers 1 through 10, as well as the kanji for the number 100, which is hyaku, and the number 1000, which is sen. So, but yeah, I know those ones. So the next ones that I learned so then I skipped to the next chapter and skipped all the lessons and everything. I just went to the next chapter to get to the new kanji. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 new kanji in that chapter. And so I want to kind of draw these for you if I can try to do this from memory. So the first one that it shows is the symbol or the kanji for sun, which is hi or ka, which literally, and I might need to use something else besides this, but we'll see if you can see it. That's okay. Which is literally like a box. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's a box with a line through the middle. So that one is sun or hi. So I would put hi or ka. Kind of depends on the situation where it ends up lying in the sentence and things like that. I also learned the kanji for tsuki, which is similar to sun. Tsuki is moon. So tsuki. Tsuki is moon, which looks similar to sun, it just has longer legs. So there's that one. And then I also learned, let's see, what was the other ones? One of the other ones was ki. Oof, that was bad handwriting, but that's okay. You'll get kind of the idea. So ki it means tree or wood or shrub or anything like that. So, and that one just kind of looks like a tree a little bit. It's got the kind of branching stump out, and it's got kind of the leaves on it. So there was that one. And another one I learned, and all these, like, if you're able to see these, hopefully we're able to see these, I'll put them on the screen as well, as I'm showing them. But as you'll notice, all of these are very simple. There's only one of them that was a little bit more complex. And I actually realized something about it, which I'll talk about in a second. Another one that I did, which was kind of the last simple one, I think, or close to the last simple one, was this one, which I am now blanking. I know what it means, but I'm blanking on the pronunciation. So I'm going to flip back here and look up the pronunciation, just because my brain is apparently not with it. It is tsuchi. Tsuchi, which is soil or earth. That type of thing. And we'll want to keep that one in mind, because first I'm going to show you another simple one, which is the 6th kanji that I learned, I believe. And it goes something like this, and then like this, like that, and then that. Yeah. So this one is the symbol for mizu, or water. So that one's also pretty simple. It kind of, I mean, the symbol itself kind of looks like water, quite honestly. But this is the one that I kind of thought was kind of interesting to me. Now, this that I'm gonna show you, it's the most complex of the characters that I learned, and it is the character for kane or okane. Now, kane or okane. So I always put the o in parentheses before them putting kane. Is the symbol for gold. Gold as it pertains to like money. So, and if you notice in this one, and let me just to make sure that I drew it correctly, I'm gonna check because I believe I got it correctly. Almost. I kind of messed up a little bit with this. There we go. That's more what it looks like. So, that is the symbol for okane, or kane. Now, if you look, if you take off the top, like, kind of house portion here, and you take off this top part here, and you take out the two things on the side, you have the symbol, if you can kind of picture that, you have the symbol for earth down there. And this kind of was fascinating to me, because the symbol for, like, gold, which would come from the earth, or for out of the soil, or, you know, things like that, the symbol for it has the kanji for earth or soil in it, which is it was kind of fascinating for me. So, but yeah, those are some of the kanji that I've learned in the last couple of days. The ones for the numbers are a little simpler, and so I don't think I need to show those to you, but that's kind of what I've been working on, and that's what my focus is going to be for a little while. I'm not going to focus so much on like trying to read oyatsu wa nani or anything like that and trying to, you know, get vocabulary from it. I'm just going to kind of let it sit and mellow for a while I focus on learning more kanji. Because like if you noticed, I had to look up one of those kanji because I forgot one part of it. But for the most part, those 7 kanji, I was able to just write from memory. And I knew what they meant, with the exception of I forgot tsuchi for a little while. But for the most part, I remember them. And that's what I want. I want to be able to look at this kanji, like this one here. I want to be able to look at just the kanji and not have essentially the furigana over top of it, like I drew here. I want to be able to look at that and immediately go, okane, or kane. That's what I want to be able to do. Also, as I've been writing these kanji down and learning the kanji, I've also been making Anki flashcards for them and putting them into an Anki deck, just to try to give myself another avenue to study them, just to solidify it in my head. So, which I do still need to do today, by the way. That's a good reminder. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing this week. So that's some of the things I've learned. I've learned 7 new kanji. And I'm trying to keep myself more optimistic, because usually I'm an eternally optimistic person. And so I'm trying to keep myself in that optimistic mindset of, yes, I can do this. It's just going to take a while. And because I sometimes, with some things, have an issue with things taking a while. That's kind of my problem right now. I want to be able to speak Japanese, yesterday. Like, I want to just be able to do it. And that is definitely not how any of this works. It's not how any of this works at all. So, but yeah, so hopefully I can keep going with this. I'll learn a bunch more kanji as I learn more kanji and get to the end, maybe even as I get towards the end of this book, then maybe I'll go back, either back through this book or through, the last couple of books or whatever, and then start actually going through the learning portions of it and start doing it that way. I also might get the Japanese from Zero company, the company that made them. They have another book called Kanji from Zero, which is just about learning kanji, and I've considered getting that just to see if that might be a little better than doing just this, because it might teach kanji a little faster. And I'm at the point where I need the kanji a little faster. I want to be able to do that so I can, read, so I can pick more vocabulary and everything that I've already said. So, and like I said, hopefully, because it's June right now, our Disney World trip is scheduled in 6 months in December. Assuming, like I said, I'm going to sit down hopefully today with Anna and be able to talk through what's going to happen with our trip. But, in 6 months, I want to be able to have at least a basic conversation with somebody in Japanese. Because if we're able to go into Epcot in Disney World and go to the Japan section, if there's people from Japan there at the time, I want to be able to go in there and have a basic conversation just to test it out and just to talk to them and, let them know that there's somebody else who's, working on their language, learning their language, who wants to learn their culture. So, but anyway, I know this was video was a little bit longer than I intended it to be. But that's okay. It happens. So for those of you who stuck through all the way to the end, thank you so much for sticking with me. Hopefully the next videos won't be quite as long. I'll just kind of go over what I've learned, and I won't get off on talking about my, inability to, or in my head, my own inability to learn Japanese as quickly as I would like. So, but yeah, anyway, thank you all for joining me in this video. Hopefully I will see you all back next week for another episode of the Language Lounge. And until then, don't forget to thank the Phoenicians.
Let's get some sun, baby, it's time to go.